قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين.
In the name of God, and prayers and peace be upon the messenger of God, at the moment when the women were attracted to Joseph, peace be upon him, not realizing that the knives have cut their hands, and after the women said that Joseph was an angel and not a human, the ruler's woman took advantage of the situation and blamed the women for their harsh criticism of her recently. These meanings appear in the following verse. She said, "Here is the one you blamed me for. I did try to seduce him, but he resisted, and if he does not do what I order him, he will be imprisoned, and he will be one of the despised." With extreme bravado, the ruler's wife admits that she was the one who tried to seduce Joseph, peace be upon him, then testifies to him that he is innocent and that he sought refuge in God from doing it, refrained and did not do it. But the ruler's wife continues the scene of arrogance and domineering and says that she seduced him, and if he disobeys her, his punishment will be imprisonment and humiliation. Many questions spread about the ruler's attitude towards these events, and some were surprised by his absence from this scene and what he did in relation to his wife's clear confession of the indecency attempt. Some commenters said bad and obscene words against him, despite the fact that the Quranic verses depicted for us his wisdom, insight, supporting the truth and justice for Joseph, peace be upon him. So where is he in what is happening now? There is no doubt that the ruler has prestige and dignity, and his wife fears him. And this was obvious when he came across her pursuing Joseph for indecency. So she immediately accused Joseph of the matter and exonerated herself before him out of fear. So how can she now admit her guilt without fear? Rather, she went further by threatening Joseph that she would throw him in prison to suffer humiliation and a lowly life after glory and prosperity. This is the tone of people of power and arrogance when they tend to fulfill their desires outside the limits of God's satisfaction and at the expense of innocent victims. The explanation I am comfortable with is the saying of some scholars that at this moment the ruler had died and departed from this world, and that his wife's feast for the women took place after his death. As for Joseph's position in the midst of this scene regarding the scheming of women and their combination of deception and misguidance, it appears in the following verse. He said, "My Lord, prison is more desirable to me than what they call me to. Unless you turn their scheming away from me, I may yield to them and become one of the ignorant." Once again, Joseph, peace be upon him, resorted to God and prayed to him sincerely and urgently. The use of the formula of prayers, "My Lord," is the most famous on the lips of the prophets, messengers, and righteous people. Moses called upon his Lord and said, "My Lord, because of your favors upon me, I will never be a supporter of the guilty." Noah called on his Lord and said, "My Lord, forgive me and my parents and anyone who enters my home in faith, and the believing men and believing women." And Abraham called upon his Lord and said, "My Lord, make me a performer of prayer and of my descendants." Joseph also sincerely resorts to God and begs him for protection and infallibility. He acknowledges his weakness and that if God withdraws his support and help, Joseph may be tempted to the plots of these women and the woman who was possessed by temptation and lust. In general, if there was no choice but imprisonment or submitting to the desires of this woman and those with her, then Joseph chose prison. We will continue commenting on this verse in the next episode, God willing.